Over the last 5 years, I have been sharing a lot about taking student loans, what it's like, and in those 5 years, I've gotten a ton of questions. So in today's video, I'll answer some of the most difficult questions I've been asked about taking student loans. Let's get into it. So I have my questions on my tab. We have almost 10 questions to get through today, so I will be fast, and I will share some links in my description where I have gone into more detail about some of the topics that I will be touching on today. So let's start with question 1, and that is, does it matter if I have taken a student loan in my home country and I'm yet to pay? Woo! If you've taken student loans in your home country and you're yet to pay, it does matter. So the answer is yes, and I'll tell you why that matters. Because, and I'm assuming you're saying you've defaulted on some loans in your home country, so maybe you were supposed to start paying and you couldn't pay, you missed a payment. This shows up in your credit report, and as part of the process of applying to these loans now, to the new student loans you're trying to take, you will need to upload your credit report, and they will see that, and that's a red flag, and they will likely decline the application, deny you the loans. So my answer is yes, sadly, but there are things you can do. Try to clear out those loans. Try to see what you can do with your credit reporting organization in your home country, so that doesn't always show up on your credit report. There's a lot of things you can do, but it all comes down to trying to settle that in your home country before you apply to this new one. Now, this doesn't mean you have to pay the full amount of the loan in your home country, but make sure you're not in default, or you work with your credit bureau in your home country to see what shows up and what doesn't show up on your credit report. If you want me to go into more detail on this topic, put a comment below and I'll do another video just sharing about that. Let's go on to question 2. Question 2 is, what can someone do if you're denied as a result of a lower credit score? So this is related to the first question I just answered. If you are denied because you have a low credit score, then you need to work on increasing your credit score. The sad part of this is there's almost nothing you can do within 24 hours or something, but within 90 days, I feel like there's so much you can do. So my recommendation for you is, before, let's say you want to apply to take student loans now, before you apply, 3 months before you apply, 6 months before you apply, I really recommend you try to get your credit report. I know for a lot of us that grew up outside of the US, Canada, UK, we don't really think about credit report. We almost never used it, or at least for me as a Nigerian. I never thought about a credit report until I was applying to grad schools abroad and trying to take loans. So my recommendation is, 3 months before you plan to submit an application for a loan, try to get your credit report. Sometimes there could be errors, there could be issues, there could be things you've resolved but it has not updated on those reports. That gives you enough time to work with your credit bureau to correct some of those things. Now, if your credit score is just low, you need some time to get it back up, and there are many things that go into what ends up being your credit score, and I can't go into detail on some of those things, but there are things like utilization, did you default on a loan, things like that. If you want me to go into detail on that, I can. Just let me know in the comments. But for now, if you're denied because your credit score is low, you need to wait some days, at least 30 days. Try to resolve that and get your credit score back up, and then reapply. Question 3 is, can I apply for a loan and decline it after it's been approved because I just needed it for visa application? Private loans especially. This is an interesting question. Can you apply, you get the loans, and then you decline afterwards because you just needed it for visa? The answer is yes. Now, I did a video recently where I shared my experience with taking student loans, and I pulled up my loan agreement, my loan offer, all those things, just showing you the exact terms of my loan that I took years ago. I would love for you to watch that video to see some of these terms, but I'll answer your question quickly, and then at the end of this video, go watch that one as well, just to see how those terms are written. Now, the thing is, there are 4 major phases, and I've shared a lot about this in recent videos. There are 4 major phases of a loan process, student loans, especially for international students. The first stage is you applying and uploading your documents and all of that. The second phase is review, where the loan provider reviews and approves, or denies or declines. And then the third phase is disbursement, where they send the money to your school and you get that. And then the last phase is repayment. Now, the way that first and from the first to third, that's from application to disbursement, there are a lot of tiny steps in between. What happens is, after your loan has been approved, the loan provider, typically they will come to your school. Now you've submitted, they've approved your loan, you've accepted the terms. They will still come to your school physically to get you to sign some physical documents. And even if they don't, your loan provider doesn't do that, you need to know that at the beginning of each semester, or before they send anything to your school, they will reconfirm with you. So at different points throughout that process, before they disburse to the school, you need to keep keep confirming every semester that, oh, this semester I don't need it, or this semester I don't need that. So what that means is, before disbursement to your school, you can totally just inform them that you no longer need the loans and they will not disburse to your school. Now, am I saying that you will not incur any fee? That's not what I'm saying. There could be some tiny fees, origination fees, some of those fees that you incur at the beginning that you may still be charged. But just know that, yes, totally, you can say, no, I no longer need these loans. And that's okay. Okay, well, question number 4. If you pay the loan earlier than stipulated loan term, is it reduced, or you're still going to pay the same amount that was on the loan term? For instance, if your loan term was 7 years and you pay within 3 years, is the amount reduced? Oh, you have questions. You guys are like really sending me some tough questions. What is the answer to this one? Let me just explain. As someone, I think my loan term was 15 years or 20 years, I don't remember, but I repaid in 1 year. So you can watch the video I'll put that in the description, about how I repaid my loans in a year. But I think I can talk about this because I repaid much faster than the loan term. The answer is, if you borrowed $100,000 like I did, and it was for 7 years, like your question here, or let's use a number that most people won't cringe at, let's say $50,000. If you took a loan of $50,000 and the term was 7 years, what happens is you've already taken $50,000. We're not debating how much you took here. We're debating what if you pay earlier than the 7 years. So now you've taken $50,000 in student loans, and you are able to pay back in 3 years. What you owe is $50,000, and you're repaying that every month. The amount you owe will not reduce. So that principal amount is still the principal amount you paid, but the reduction comes from the fact that you will not pay additional 4 years of interest. I hope that's clear. So you borrowed $50,000, you will pay back $50,000 and interest. Just that if you repay in 3 years instead of 7 years, you will save on interest for the 4 years. So that's how to think about that. If you need more explanation on this, let me know in the comments. All right, question 5. I'd like to ask if I can apply for a loan after landing in Canada for my studies as an international student, like for example, after getting my visa. The answer to this one is yes. You can apply for a student loan at any time. So let's say you're already in Canada, you're already studying, you can apply. You can totally apply. Just know that these loan providers also kind of have popular cycles, like the fall cycle, the spring cycle. Those are their typical cycles, which are the same cycles you know about when you apply to school for fall cycle or spring. At the time you are applying, depending on the time, they may or may not have a lot of funds because they just disburse a ton of funds to folks that apply at the regular times. But beyond that, yes, you can apply for student loans at any point. All right, we are at number 6. So this one is, can I use the loan to cover my spouse and family? The answer is yes, provided at the time you were applying for the student loans, you put in your own living expenses, your child's living expenses, your partner's living expenses, that's your wife or your husband. You put in all the costs for all 3 of you or 4 of you, depending on how many kids that you have, and they are approved. Then yes, you can. Loans can cover your tuition and living expenses. Now, if what you are asking me is in reality doing, can a loan provider for an international student that doesn't have student loans, is it popular, is it common for them to fund the full tuition, living expenses for you, living expenses for your kids, living expenses for your wife or husband? Just know that you're going to be riskier, and there's a good chance your loan will not be approved. That's the short and long answer. Number 7 now, can any of these loans that I mentioned include traveling expenses if asked for? The answer is typically no. Travel expenses, you mean like when you're traveling from your home country? No, but if you've already signed your loan agreement, they've said disbursing to your school, and your school, let's say they disbursed for this semester $10,000, and what you need for your tuition and fees is $7,000. They'll send $10,000 to your school will reimburse you $3,000. Now when you get the $3,000, you can use it to travel whatever you want, even party. That's not their business. The point is you owe them $10,000. So at that point, yes, you can use some of the funds to travel, but before then, before you get to the school, they likely will not cover your travel expenses from your home country to that school. Hi my friend, hope you found today's video helpful so far. See, today's video is part of a series of videos that I'm doing to help you navigate the entire application, funding, visa process. So all these videos over the next few weeks will just be added to a single playlist, and that playlist will be in my description. If you click that playlist, you will find all these videos and you will be able to navigate the entire application process by yourself. So if you have any friend that you know is applying to schools in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia this year, and they cannot afford to have an admissions coach, please send them this single link so they can navigate the entire process as well. Be nice to them. So send this link to them and let's get back to the video. So we have a couple more questions to go. So yeah, will the loan cover tuition deposit? Because of the timing of things, typically it's no, it wouldn't cover that, but you know that your tuition deposit is deductible from your tuition balance. So if your tuition deposit is $2,000 and your tuition for that first year were $20,000, what you owe the school is a balance $18,000. So if you got loans of $20,000, you can pay the school $18,000 and use the balance to reimburse yourself. But directly, the loan provider will not help you pay your tuition deposit. I hope you understand that. And then the last question here is, how do I go about applying for Prodigy loan because I keep getting declined? I am sorry that you keep getting declined, because that is super frustrating. First, I have a link in the description that takes you straight to the application page, and you can use that link if you are considering reapplying. Now, if you've been declined, you need to figure out why. I know it's difficult because they don't really tell you a very specific reason, but I'll say start from this. Risk is the most important topic here. How risky are you? And I'll share a video in the description where I've talked about how to reapply after being declined. But just think about what information you put in that application. Maybe you requested $100,000. What if you reduce it this time to $70,000 and try to cover the $30,000 by yourself? That's one option. What if you just tweak things? What if you only have 1 year of experience but you want $100,000? That makes you very risky. What if you applied saying you're going to a school and the program you're going in for is not very lucrative? Like, people that have graduated from those programs don't earn a lot. Like, there's a reason medical students find it easier to get loans versus maybe you were studying communications or something like that. Not that I'm saying anything about, I'm not even a doctor, but you get the point. Some fields are just more lucrative in today's world. That's all I can say. It's like computer science today, versus any other type of degree. There's a difference, right? So you can tweak some things, you can change some things, you can apply to some STEM programs, just try to change some of those fields or some of those things that you put in your application. I'll put a link in the description for you to watch this in a bit more detail and learn some of the things you can do to make sure your application is approved the next time that you apply. So I really enjoyed talking about some of these juicy, tricky student loan questions, so keep those questions rolling in. Let me know if you want me to do another video like this. If there's anything that's been bothering you about taking student loans, please let me know in the comments and I'll answer. As always, I do want to remind you that I share a lot about student loans, but treat loans as a last resort. Like, explore student loans, but also know that the money is not free. So the interest, it's easier to take a loan than to repay. So try all other options, all other funding options that I've shared on this channel, and I'll put a link to a playlist below where I share a lot of funding options for you that you should think about before you go the route of taking student loans. I do hope you enjoyed today's video. I will see you in my next video. Bye.